You are playing your first game of Konflikt 47. Great! There are some things to do before that first game of Konflikt 47. You want to learn the basics of the game by looking at the rulebook, so that you're not having to stop and check and look through sections of the rulebook to find out how a weapon or unit interacts with the part of the rule that isn't basic. When you've been making your army, look at the units, look at their abilities, look at their weapons, and check what those things are. Like the light machine gun has the team rule. What does that do? Okay, you need 2 people to fire it. But I have checked my unit and looked at the core rules, and this Galahad armored infantry squad is in heavy power armor. What does that mean? Oh, it means I ignore the team rule. Doing all of that checking of rules in the middle of a game really drags down the pacing and the fun element. So look at the basic parts of the core rules and the type and the weapons of your units. Now, it's entirely possible that the person taking you through your first game of Konflikt 47 knows how to play Konflikt 47. Maybe they don't, and you're figuring it out with a friend. But it's also useful for you to feel like you're getting into the flow of the game if you write down what your rules are. You can't remember it all, so having a little flashcard or quick reference for your unit will help. The Warlord Games app can help, but personalize the cards that you make to what you need to remember. Put it on an A4 sheet of paper, put it on little sticky notes. This is standard for any wargame. But now I want to take you through some more specific Konflikt 47 advice. How we go about your first games playing it. I don't want you to come away from your first game thinking it was too dense or too complicated, or you're not having fun with it because the game was too skewed or there were too many rules in play for you to play the game and instead you spent 2 hours reading a book with someone else. Not a bad way to spend time, but you came to play a war game, not begin a book club. When you're setting up a board, it could be any kind of board. A 4-foot by 4-foot board, a 6-foot by 4-foot board, a kitchen table that's like 5-foot by 3-foot are all fine for a smallish kind of game. Say 500 points, 750 points for Konflikt 47. That's a good first game. The terrain could be nothing. You could have an open field. Units do not die instantly when you shoot at them. There's dice rolls after dice rolls in play, and walking towards each other shooting can be fun enough when you're learning the game. I do recommend having some terrain, but no buildings! No buildings, then you can avoid all of that section of the rule. How do high explosives work with buildings? How do you assault buildings? Skip all of that. Have lots of soft cover, like fedges and hences. Or the more normally termed hedges and fences. Have those chest-high walls from video games. Light cover. If you don't own any terrain, and don't want an open field for the battle, sticks from outside make an easy wall. I think every country has access to sticks. I would have 2 areas of dense cover in the middle. These could be an area of trees made from a cardboard cereal box cut out with a couple of trees stuck on it. Here's one I made earlier. It has a tree in it, so it's a forest. Use your imagination! Abstract terrain may not suit some people, but for others it can be easily adapted. Otherwise, the Americans land on a Pacific island to see the Japanese defending a French village. In the jungles of Myanmar, the Commonwealth forces come upon a coastal French village. If you don't have one already, don't buy a super amazing, finely detailed narrative board to then get into a war game. You paint up the models, you start playing the models, and find, actually, this was fun one time. Why did I spend 3 months making a board for this? So keeping terrain simple and easy is best. Dense cover is a good one, because with dense cover you can shoot into it, but cannot shoot through it. It gives you a place to hide your officers and more fragile units. What kind of units? I wouldn't have units that have special rules or abilities that are more than a paragraph. The unit is a fanatic unit. Great. Easy. You can look that up and reference it again in the core rulebook. The unit is an Air Force spotter, and now you need to know the rules on spotters and homing in and how aircraft work. No air observers. No, that's too many rules for your first game. When you're picking your troops, use regular or veteran level troops, but veteran level troops only if there isn't a choice. I don't think you want to be min-maxing your army list right away before you've got a real grasp of the game. If you avoid inexperienced troops, you avoid the -1 to hit penalty from inexperienced troops, so you feel like you can hit something, and if you and the enemy have regular troops, something will die soon enough. There's a risk that if those aforementioned Galahad infantry units are veteran, and then they're only hurt on a 6 because their defense value is 6, your opponent could be throwing a lot of dice at you and just nothing happens. It's fair enough to lose a couple of models, they in turn will lose a few models if everything is regular. In the rules, Warlord Games has an important note! Take note, the basic rules were written with infantry units in mind. So anything like tanks, walkers, howitzers, anti-aircraft cannons, yeah, all the additional rules for them and trucks and towing vehicles, they will be explained in their own sections and separately. If you know that you can just avoid a lot of units and play with infantry, which are the most fun part of war games I find, otherwise we're moving cubes, but they have turrets on top, and now it's a tank fight. Look at my cubes. People are more interesting for the kind of stories and fun game you get from Konflikt 47. So there's a good advice bit. Miss out the artillery and the tanks and walkers for your first game, so no tanks or vehicles. That saves you from another part of the rules to look up and contend with. What do coaxial weapons do? What about facings? How do the damage tables operate? That can all come in later games. Unless you want to slot in a cheeky Matilda. And who doesn't love a cheeky Matilda tank? I love the Matilda. It is a wonderful tank, and the kit from Warlord Games is also very nice. Really detailed instruction book that explains how to build it and paint it for different theatres, and historically accurate years if you want. There is lore, and how to build it to represent the different war zones because the Matilda fought the whole length of the war and in every theatre. These instructions are short and good. There's a resealable bag that can be used for keeping the bits instead of plastic wrap to be thrown away. And I love the fiery explosion add-on you get to show when your tank is destroyed or on fire. That's a really easy to make piece, but giving it in a box is such a nice touch. It comes with its own quick reference card. This tells me what the weapon does, what its defense value is. I don't need to make my own version of this, I just need to have it flipped to the correct side. Is it a Commonwealth Matilda or a specifically Australian Matilda? You can use bolt action units in Konflikt 47, I'll talk about that a lot more in a separate video. I touched on it briefly in my previous Konflikt 47 video. However, when I was building this, I wish the pieces were numbered on the sprue so that I know which piece is bit 28 and I can look at the assembly instructions instead of flicking back and forth, checking if I've cut the right bit off as they're numbered at the start of the booklet. There and only there does it tell you what bits are numbered in what way. It's a minor gripe. Oh, and with the Matilda, there are sticky up bits that come off on the top of the tracks. That is a bad place to put a support without clear instructions pointing out, don't cut the whole thing off, clip just above it. As soon as it is not freezing outside, I will spray paint the tank. I love the Matilda. I can't remember where my love for it started. Maybe like 10 years ago when playing World of Tanks and there's a lot of low-tier British bias and the Matilda just cannot be hurt. No, I know what it was! With a tune. Girls and Panzer is a brilliant anime, and everyone who appreciates World War II tank should watch it. You want your first game to be a fun game. It is recommended in the Konflikt 47 core rules to do the basic kill mission. Seek and destroy, you get a victory point for every enemy unit destroyed. You set up your units on the long edge, but you move them on from the board as their order dice comes out. Easy stuff. I would add more caveats to this, definitely. Don't have units with a defense value of 7+. It is important in an easy and more specifically fun kill mission, so every unit on the board can kill the enemy units. Power armoured units will cut down Volksgrenadiers, but the Volksgrenadiers can hurt the British Commonwealth Galahad Armoured Infantry Squad. You don't want a game where one player is untouchable and the other is hiding behind walls waiting for the game to end. Having infantry be unkillable to other infantry is a complaint I have about Konflikt 47. I think Konflikt 47 could benefit from an extreme shot chance, just so there is a chance to hurt them. Keep the rule that a rifle doesn't give pins to defense value 7 units, but like in the Lord of the Rings Middle-earth tabletop strategy battle game and 2nd edition of 40k, if a 7+ could be hurt on a 6 followed by a 4, or a defense value 8 infantry unit could be hurt on a 6 followed by a 5. It then stops players from losing the game during the army construction step. There already is this rule in combat in Konflikt 47. If you roll a 6 followed by another 6, that can bring down bears and werewolves no problem, except the problem is the extreme luck required for it. It's unlikely, but it's cool when it happens. If there are rules there that allowed it to happen. That could be a house rule you may want to implement, if you're playing with a good friend. And to clarify again, I'm saying this should apply to infantry attacking other infantry. It wouldn't work against walkers or vehicles. For the game size, there will be a lot of rule checking to do. There are unit rules to look at, weapon profiles and weapon rules. That will take up more time than you expect, and you don't want to allocate 2 to 3 hours of a game and then find that you finished half the game because you spent so long looking in the rulebook, making sure you got it right, that the game doesn't end and then darkness falls. So 750 points is a good game size. Here's an example army list. For the British Commonwealth, of course, we have a Galahad platoon commander with Tesla rifle, regular, a 5-man Galahad armoured infantry squad of regular quality, 10 British Grenadiers, we have no choice in quality, they have to be veteran, an 11-man rifle squad, regular quality, 1 assault rifle, 1 light machine gun, and 5 of the Mark I automated infantry with heavy machine gun. Again, veteran quality, but we have no choice in that. That is 750 points exactly. The sword bayonet models are very cool. Players tend to be fine with proxying weapons if it's a very similar weapon. This medium machine gun is actually a heavy machine gun, maybe they have armor penetrating rounds. As long as the proxy is easy, people are fine with it. So saying all of the medium machine guns in this squad are heavy machine guns, great. But saying, okay, this submachine gun is actually a rifle, but this other submachine gun is a light machine gun, that might get more confusing, so avoid that. Just going for regular troops makes this a very tough army. The Galahad troops, the Galahad commander, they can be wounded on a 5. The Grenadiers have to be of veteran quality, they are wounded on a 5. The Mark I automated infantry only wounded on a 6. But importantly, without armor penetration, they can be hurt by enemy units. I think you want to have some human troops anyway, in any game. Even with the British that are more automated to cover manpower shortages. I don't like the idea of having an automaton platoon commander ordering human troops around. But I think if you had a force that was a junior officer and a small number of men ordering around a greater number of automatons, that's fine. The computer should not lead. Man over machine. But I bet Warlord Games now wants to release a Mark II automaton commander just to spite me. Hopefully their rules prevent them from ordering around real humans. An alternative army list is the regular Galahad platoon commander with Tesla rifle, 5 regular Galahad troops, 5 Mark I automated infantry but with medium machine guns, a 10-man rifle squad rather than an 11-man rifle squad, regular, 1 assault rifle, 1 light machine gun, a 5-man grenadier squad, and a regular Mark II Matilda. 750 points exactly. And if you did have 1 or 2 points spare, you can get upgrades like Tough Fighters or Stubborn on some of your units. Now, having 1 tank doesn't work with the platoon structure. To have tanks, you need to have at least 2 tanks. Then they can be their own platoon. But I think you can ignore that for your first game. And wouldn't you know it, the Commonwealth starter set gives you some Galahad troops, Mark I robots, and a lieutenant in Galahad armor. With the vehicles included, it is 1,000 points. Now compare that to like a 40k combat patrol, that's £100 and gives you like 20 models, if you're lucky. and that's 25% of a standard army if you count 2,000 points as standard. A Warlord Games army starter set is £110, and that is 60 to 70% of a standard army, if you count 1,500 points as the standard size. The rulebook does suggest that is standard, but has no problems modifying it. Good army set. Yeah. Hey Warlord Games, wouldn't it be great if you sent me the Commonwealth starter set? I could do so much with it, like 3 videos easily. I'm sure the comments will agree, especially comments from people who want to support me and don't give me money through Ko-fi, which also gives them some cool perks. If you want to buy your own Commonwealth starter set or anything else, there is a Warlord Games affiliate link in the description. Even with this advice, you will get rules wrong. You'll forget that your units can ignore pin markers because they're unthinking zombies, coming out in plastic. You'll forget that the Tesla rifle has 2 firing modes. You'll forget that the anti-tank keyword weapons have +1 to hit against vehicles. Don't worry. The more you play, the more you remember. Diving in and playing is the best way to learn. I'm going to talk about incorporating normal bolt action units into Konflikt 47 in the next video, in case you wanted to pick up some bolt action units, which can be used when playing bolt action or Konflikt 47. And subscribe if you love the Matilda.